Welcome to the 𝗕𝗥𝗢𝗄𝗧 Basketball Show. I'm your host, 𝗕𝗥𝗢𝗡𝗏𝗏, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jack Lynch. We're coming to you from Melbourne, Australia, where it's currently 8 a.m. on, I nearly said Tuesday, Monday, the 14th of December.
You need to start looking at the date before you start these every week.
On today's show, we were meant to have a guest, the NBA Buzz. You would have seen them on Facebook and Instagram. NBA Buzz owner and creator, runner, all that. 𝗕𝗫𝗄𝗃𝗫, I forgot how to pronounce his last name, but Mikey was supposed to come on today, but he actually contracted coronavirus over the last few days. He lives in New York State, I believe. So best wishes to Mikey, and we'll have him on another time. So this pod and next pod will be the last two pods before the season starts, because the season starts next Tuesday US time, next Wednesday Australian time where we are. But we're going to take this chance to do part one of the season preview, go through all the teams, and we're going to tell you what we think your team is going to do and our prediction for this season. And also we're going to talk about the events and stuff that's happened in the last week or so. It's going to be a great show. It's time for tip-off. Once again, welcome to the 𝗕𝗥𝗢𝗄𝗧 Basketball Show. I am joined by a guy who doesn't talk to pawns because his attention is worth more.
Usually when someone mentions me and porn in a sentence, it goes in a different direction. Yeah, Kyrie Irving, not talking to pawns. We've spoken about Kyrie a lot, and I know your thoughts, you know my thoughts, but he just keeps digging in his grave and becoming more unlikable and more insufferable every single day.
So Kyrie Irving was fined. Kyrie Irving and the Nets were fined $25,000 because he sent an email to a media representative and said, "I'm not going to speak to the media. This is it. Here you go." And then after the fine, he was quoted saying, "I do not talk to pawns. My attention is worth more." Did I say attention again or attention?
What?
It's 8 a.m. It's 8:30 a.m., guys. I keep thinking I'm saying tension, not attention.
No, you said attention. I'm pretty sure.
Anyway, his attention is worth more. Kyrie Irving, he is full of fun. Did you see his live, Instagram live with KyDie?
Where he said he should post up 8 times a game?
Yeah, did you see it though?
No.
So he's sitting... I know they're joking, but he's sitting on Instagram Live in a room full of like paintings on the floor. And I'm like, this is just classic. This is so,
He's very, very Kyrie.
Not to say that artists and painters are airy-fairy or like free world or whatever, but you know what I'm saying? Like he's embracing he's so... in the moment, Kyrie. All right.
He's the type of bloke that tries to sound smarter than he is. And like every sentence he says, it's like he's plucked out of a thesaurus and doesn't know what half the words actually mean. And just sort of strung it together and hope it works. And it never pans out how he wants.
James Harden has 2 years left on his contract with the Houston Rockets. However, he's still looking for a way out of there. He's
doing everything he can to tank his value right now.
He's previously made it clear that he wants to get to the Nets, but now the the Rockets have made it clear that they will not be trading Harden unless they get Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant in return. And as I alluded to on another podcast, and it's obviously just so straightforward, that's not going to happen. Kyrie Irving will not be traded. Kyrie and KD are essentially running that whole Nets organization. That's not going to happen. So the Nets are off the table for now, I would say.
I'd agree for now. I don't think Kyrie's untouchable, but naturally in negotiations, they're going to say Kyrie's not on the table. And obviously going to work from there. If you can pair up James Harden and Kevin Durant, you take that. And
Yeah.
especially with the way Kyrie's been acting up the last few years and the way he departed, he couldn't play second fiddle to LeBron, and there's always rumors that are coming out now that they didn't like each other at all, and Kevin Love didn't like Kyrie and whatnot. But the way he forced his way out of Cleveland, the way he's forced his way out of Boston, I think fans and I think teams are wary of what may happen with Kyrie. He's so unpredictable, you can't really control him. And while it's all smooth sailing in Brooklyn right now, we don't know what happens when they start losing games, if they start losing games. So I think if you can make that deal to get Harden in, they're going to take it. It's just, ideally, they want all three players there.
Do you think that, because this is what I would believe to be the case, that for Kyrie to be on the table as a possibility to be traded, he would have to get KD's blessing?
Tick of approval. I would agree, I think. You don't know what's going on behind the doors, but any player of that nature usually has a bit of say in negotiations. So I'd assume so, but who knows how the Nets deal with anything.
That's it. And so since that whole Nets thing, and it's looking like it's not a possibility for now, James Harden has named first the Sixers, which were a team that was sort of already part of the conversation, and then he went on to name the Bucks and the Heat. He just wants to get out of Houston, and he wants to be on a contender.
So I don't buy that at all. I think he's doing what AD did. Remember when AD said, put his list out, and it was Milwaukee, LA,
the Knicks.
Who else was in there? Was it the Knicks?
It was the Knicks.
They're just throwing names out there so it looks like, I mean, not that players can tamper, but I reckon they're throwing teams out there so it's like, yeah, Harden just wants to play for a contender. Fair enough. But he's got his eyes just set on Brooklyn.
Yeah.
There's no way in the world he would go and play for Milwaukee. This is the king of the strip clubs, as so the legend goes. There's no way he's going to Milwaukee where it's freezing cold, snowing for 11 months of the year.
Yeah. I don't know. I reckon he would go to Miami though.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I don't think he wants to. He's not going to want to play with Jimmy Butler. I don't think.
Yeah. It would be an interesting pairing, those two, with obviously Jimmy making everyone accountable and James Harden not moving off.
Their mentalities are very different, I think.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to talk too much sort of thing, but, and I know we've talked about this before, but I think, breaking down to it, and Brian Windhorst said the same thing. Ben Simmons is the guy in all this. Like, he is the guy. And Mark Stein reported that if one team's going to land James Harden in a trade, it's probably going to be the Sixers, or they're the favorite at the moment. Again, believe what you want to believe sort of thing. But while the sort of Houston has so much leverage, and they're still in the window of demanding a real good player, because further down the line, their leverage is going to get weaker and weaker, and that's when they may have to accept a trade without a young superstar, for example, like Ben or Kyrie or whatever. But for right now, I'd say they'd be targeting sort of Ben Simmons, and that would be the most tasty offer. What do you think about, I don't know if it's going to happen, but the Nuggets getting involved as well, potentially? They've got Jokic, Murray, and also MPJ.
Who would they offer?
I'm not sure. It's obviously about what their decision would be, but I feel like the Sixers and the Nuggets, apart from all these teams that are named, the Bucks, the Heat, and the Nets, because I just don't feel like the Houston would really want Bam at this point. And
no,
so
I don't think Miami would want to give up Bam. I think he fits there. He's so integral to the way they play basketball.
Yeah.
And they're quite weak at the big, in the center position anyway.
Yeah.
So I think Bam's probably untouchable in that sense.
So in terms of what the best young player that Houston's going to get, it's Ben Simmons or
there's no one else.
Or, well, it depends on what they think of MPJ. Do you think the Nuggets would offer up Jamal Murray for James Harden?
Probably. I mean, you'd have to. It's James Harden. But it's not just Murray for Harden. It's 4 more years of Murray or whatever is left on his massive contract and 2 years of Harden that he might re-sign there.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be able to guarantee that.
It's becoming, as this thing goes on, and this is the thing, Harden is not helping his case.
He's doing that on purpose, I think. He wants to get out of Houston so badly. His manager has said, you go clubbing for the next week and you're going to tank your value as much as you can, because right now it's a standoff. And if every team's like, you know what, we don't want Harden if he's behaving like this, his value becomes less and less and less, which means Houston's going to have to accept a lesser deal. If teams are like, oh, no, we don't really want him because look what he's doing, Houston would have to do anything to get rid of him at that point.
I understand what you're saying, but I also think that, yes, so they might end up just getting a better deal out of it, but he may end up on a Milwaukee, for example, because of all this happening, because maybe the Nets or the Sixers feel like that Caris LeVert and Ben Simmons and co are too much to give up when he's like throwing his value so much. Because there's the factor of after this, I know he has 2 years left on his contract, but I think he's 31 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then
he
may not re-sign, and he's on a huge money contract, and he's going
massive.
And he's going to demand a huge money contract after this one. It's just a lot of things that are sort of like, I don't know. It's
a weird situation to be in because there's so much money on the table. There's still time left on his contract.
Yeah.
And with the AD trade, for example, it was the New Orleans package the Lakers package had good young players. For the Kyrie Irving trade, remember how it was it was the one before that when Boston had the Brooklyn pick. No, sorry. Boston had given it to Cleveland in the Kyrie trade, but then it was like, what's Cleveland going to do with Shump, Tristan Thompson, and the Brooklyn pick? And it was like there was so much value in that, where there's not much value in the league at the moment is actually tradable, I don't think.
Yeah, that's right.
Ben Simmons is there, but the other names getting thrown around is Spencer Dinwiddie and Caris LeVert, and they're 27 and 28-year-old. At best, they might be an all-star for one season, but they're just good rotation pieces that can score you 35 one night, but most of the time aren't going to do much. For the first time, there's like a massive potential trade and no one's willing to give anything.
Yeah. And that's why I think more and more the bottom line is, as this goes on, Ben Simmons and the Sixers, the likes of 𝗲𝗏, Shake, and a bunch of draft picks we might give them, it's becoming more and more that the Sixers are, even if Harden doesn't want to be there, it's the most suitable trade that's going to happen as everyone's reporting. And also the big factor of, not that I believe it, but the whole Ben and Joel factor, can't work together. We know Daryl Morey is trigger happy, and my best guess is that he gives this the latest he can until the trade deadline to try and gauge about the whole Ben and Joel thing.
Yeah.
And even maybe beyond, because Harden's got those 2 years left. After this trade deadline finishes, then the Rockets only have one trade deadline to get rid of him. Trade window to get rid of him. So it's going to be interesting, but
surely if you're the Sixers, and I mean, you're a Sixers fan, so you've really got a good view on this. it's the fit between Embiid and Harden would be night and day compared to Embiid and Simmons.
It will be night and day. Yeah.
There is no way you can't deny that they would be a better duo.
Of course they
and
will.
I'm surprised Morey hasn't jumped the gun on this already. I know he wants to try and work them out, but I suppose he knows he has time. There is time up his sleeve. He doesn't have to do it now, but I'm surprised that he hasn't just gone, yep, we'll take that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Because that pairing, offensively, having Embiid with someone playing the pick and roll with someone that's actually a scoring threat and a shooting threat will give Embiid so many driving lanes so easily. He'll be more of a lob target. He'll get more open pick and pops. As soon as that came out, I thought Morey's going to do it because it works.
Yeah.
Here we are.
It's very obvious, and it's hard to talk to me, and it's hard to talk to you as well, because you're more inclined to not love Ben. You're not to say the least, you're not a Ben lover.
Don't support him all that much.
And that's the thing here. Like, I think what this is, I suspect, like all Sixers fans, or most, we really do see the upside and even the current value in Ben. And that's the thing. Like, James Harden is 31 and he is only got that, there's not a guarantee he's going to re-sign.
No.
And there's not even he's on the end of his peak. He's more towards the end of his peak, whereas Ben is 20. He's our age, I'm pretty sure. He's 24.
Yeah. But I would say
it's tough.
2 years with Harden would give you more likely. You'd be more likely to win a championship with 2 years of Harden than whatever Ben and Joel can. Their upside.
Yeah, I know it's a tough one. It's just I don't know.
But I do get what you're saying though, because I remember when those rumors came out of Harden wanting to leave, and Boston got thrown into it a bit, just in terms of not necessarily it's a chance, but everyone sort of thought what teams can offer what, and it was Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and I was thinking, I can't. It's hard to give up guys you love, sort of thing. You've seen them grow. You've got this bond with them, and they have no idea who you are, but you love them for some reason. And it's naturally like, I don't want to see them go, so I know what you're going through.
Yeah, but if James Harden was 29, he was 29, I'm sure everyone, including Morey, would be like, all right,
thank you.
This is it. Like, this is the thing. But anyway, let's move on. But that's still very interesting. Also, a guy named Paul George has signed a max extension and he'll earn $226 million over the next 5 years. That's
fucked.
He had this year left on his contract, and then now he's extended for the next 4 years. So first off, Paul George.
You keep going. Sorry.
They had. Okay, let's just say it. They had to do it.
Yeah, but I didn't even know he was. I mean, anyone can sign an extension at any point, but that came out of nowhere, I thought.
It did, but I think it did because so Paul George came to the Clippers start of last season, and he had 2 years left on his contract. Kawhi signed with the Clippers in free agency, and he signed for something like 3 years or something, and then he brought it down to 2. Or he made the third year a player option. Like, he changed it. And Kawhi did that, I think, obviously, because he wanted to make sure that if things didn't, essentially, if the whole...
He could bounce if it came to shit.
If this Paul George experiment didn't work, as he said, he could bounce after this upcoming season. And so there was sort of this mystery and... what's the word I'm looking for? There's sort of this mystery and just unease about whether Kawhi and PG were really going to be Clippers for life, per se. Clippers for the rest of their careers, and the Clippers are gonna contend, and they really needed to, because they gave up $1 million draft picks to get Paul George.
I would have loved to see PG and Kawhi bounce after 2 years.
Well, that
would have been so funny.
It would have been unbelievable and so Oh, so bad for the Clippers. So now that PG's done this, it's interesting again because you've heard your rumors of coming from everywhere that Paul George is the problem and players don't like him. You know, who knows what rumors are true about Kawhi not liking him or whatever. But I'm interested to see what Kawhi does. And I'd have to look into his contract, whether he was eligible for an extension. I know he's essentially got 1 year left. It might be two, but the next one might be a player option. I might be wrong. I don't know. But I'm interested to see what Kawhi Leonard does. After such a big thing last summer or American summer of him going to the Clippers, it'd be amazing if Kawhi leaves after this season.
It'd be so... I would love to see the Clippers capitulate, but I think by extending Paul George, it sort of guarantees that Kawhi's probably going to stay.
Yeah, you'd have to.
I think
so.
Kawhi loves as well making the Clippers organization his bitch because he gets everything he wants, and there's always stories coming about how he's in the female locker room. Did you see that?
No.
So they've got their locker room, obviously, and there's like the female facilities. And apparently Kawhi was just doing stretches and stuff in there because he thought it was more space. And the women that are in the facilities trying to use it. And like, no, sorry, you can't go in there. Then there's the stories of how he's late to practice. He's late for flights because he's living in wherever he's living. Yeah. And getting the helicopters in. Like, Kawhi's got complete control over what he wants to do. Yeah. If he was in a place like Miami, for example, which we know is very strict, and it's like you do it our way and you fit into our system, he would hate that. And I reckon that's part of the reason he wanted out of San Antonio, where Pop was the same. Pop was, my way or the highway, and he couldn't hack that.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see with the Clippers. I really hope that they play good this season. Pat Bev was already barking at Montrezl Harrell in the preseason game. Classic.
He's also hitting the sides of backboards. Did you see that?
Oh no, I didn't. Did he? Jesus.
It was way off P all over again.
Classic. Anyway, and also preseason basketball has started. Not that we have spoken about it.
I don't even know what was happening. I watched about 6 minutes in total, I reckon.
Yeah, the Sixers and the Celtics are actually playing on Wednesday, our time, I believe it is, but not that we'll be tracking it. If we win, I'll give it to you or something.
Yeah, that's usually the way.
And also, on the Paul George front, God, the worst thing about Paul George is when he talks. And he came out...
His PR team is awful.
Yeah, and he came out and said something. He said a few things now. He said that Doc didn't really put him in the pick and roll or something like that. He didn't use him properly.
He played more pick and roll possessions than he did in his time in OKC or Indiana.
He's played more pick and roll than ever. And then and he said something about his coaching. And Doc came out and sort of clapped back and he said, well, your new coach was sitting right next to me in Ty Lue. And also, was there another one? Wasn't there? I feel like there might have been another one. But anyway.
Oh, it's just... I don't know what his PR team's doing, but as I said with Kyrie before, every time he speaks, he's digging his grave. And at least Kyrie's more so doing it in that he's trying to be intelligent.
Yeah.
Whereas PG's doing it because he's an idiot and just creates these things going on in his head which just aren't true.
Yeah.
And looks a fool because of it.
Doc Rivers, now I've just remembered, Doc Rivers was doing an interview and he said that when Kawhi and PG came in, all the guys that were there before, your Lou Williams, your Montrez, and your Pat Bev, let's just say, they didn't accept one of them. He said this, they didn't accept one of those guys. He's like, I think they accepted Kawhi. So he just spelled it out that... he
can't name who it was, but it wasn't Kawhi.
Just spelled it out that it was PG that was the problem. So I hope that Doc can be good with the Philly guys. I'm excited. Let's move on.
Maybe it was Mo Harkless.
That's it. Yeah, he came in. Let's move on. Let's skip this one for now. Giannis has officially about just over 7 days to sign that big extension. And he said last week or the other day, he said they asked him about it. And he said, I'm not focusing on the contract right now. I'm focusing on me. Jack Lynch.
Yep.
Does Giannis Antetokounmpo sign this extension before December 22, which is when he must do it?
I don't want to read into rumors too much, Nate. You know that I don't like that. And I can't talk about going to a barber or a hairdresser because I cut my own hair because I don't really care. It's cheaper. And I've got a streak from 2008 of no going to a hairdresser, so I'm going to keep that alive. But by all accounts, the bond between a man and his barber is for life, and you can share everything, and it's, cone of silence. And Giannis's barber tweeted saying, "Thank you for everything you've done for the city of Milwaukee. Good luck for all your endeavors."
Whoa, I did not see this.
Then he deleted it.
I did not see this.
So I don't want to read into too much, but to me, he gone.
He said a few things this offseason, of course. Everyone's asking him shit. One of the things he did say, I don't know if we already discussed this, but he'd be happy to be the number 2 or 3 guy under AD or LeBron, which was nice because, as we've talked about, he put on the crown in the Lakers game last season when he bloody did not deserve it. So I don't know, but basically, my take is he's not signing that extension because he can sign it after this season finishes. If they make, what would you say? So they've already made the conference finals. If they make the finals and don't get swept with Jrue Holiday,
I think the finals is the criteria.
Yeah. If they make the finals, essentially, because they brought in Jrue Holiday. Who else did they bring? Every time I talk about this, I forgot what else they did. Did they do anything else?
They didn't do much else because they didn't get Bogdanović, which was their big play.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a fair bit of roster movement, but no one notable.
Yeah.
Bobby Portis, Nick Stauskas.
Oh, Nick Stauskas.
Bryn Forbes.
Yeah, so the whole Jrue Holiday play, which if I was Giannis, personally, I don't think it's that great of a move in terms of to make.
I think they've gotten weaker. I agree.
Yeah, to make him stay. If they don't make the finals, I'm sorry, Milwaukee fans, but he's not signing postseason. And for me, lock in that he's not signing that before the next 8 days. So it's going to be a season of mystery for the Bucks fans and Giannis.
Well, did you see that he's frustrated with his teammates putting pens in his locker?
No.
So that came out this morning, our time. Hang on, I'll be able to find it here quickly. So, quote unquote, it got a little bit odd. He said, "I've got 20 pens here in my locker." And then the article said, the headline is, "Giannis is currently flummoxed with his teammates ridding him with pens to sign the extension," according to NY Times article describing the vexation with the situation. So Giannis is frustrated with his teammates. His barber's calling him out. But I think regardless of what he wants to do, it's idiotic to sign it before this season anyway. He's got no reason to.
Yeah.
If you can get the same amount of money next year, you might as well just see how things go. There's no point locking in for the sake of locking it in. Take your time, work out what's happening, and then come to Boston.
It'll be great for the podcast next season if he doesn't sign, obviously, for the Bucks. So can't wait for that. But that's that. Also, one last note before we get into the preview. The Dallas Mavericks paid JJ Barea a vet minimum $2.6 million guaranteed and then waived him a nice severance package from Mark Cuban.
Cubes, looking out for JJ.
Yeah, very, very emotional.
He's fine, though. JJ's dated or married 2 Miss Universes. He's fine.
Has he?
He's living the dream for a 5'9", 5'10", 5'11". I think he's listed at 5'11", but he's not.
Yeah.
That's why, remember how he had that ad chicks dig the layup a few years ago?
I don't know if I saw it.
Oh, he just about how much chicks dig the layup because you can't dunk.
Oh, there you go. Well, that was
that was a good gesture from Cuban, and I reckon there's more to it than that. This isn't a we're paying JJ. This is a hey Giannis, look how well we look after our our players. There's always more to it. And Cuban, he's got all the money in the world, so he doesn't care. But he's sending a message.
I don't want a team to beat the Sixers. I mean, that's just plain and simple. That's just the simplest way of saying it. However, I don't love Giannis, but I would love to see Giannis on the Mavs.
It would be pretty fucked. That'd be so good.
How good would that be? That would be awesome.
Get one more thing before we do go on to it.
Sure.
Did you see the what's the Raptors documentary they released? What's it called? The Raptors keep putting out these videos like behind the scenes. I can't remember what the title is. And they released an episode from the bubble, and it's just like practice and what goes on like with the coaches and how they prepare for things. And they put in a bit of footage from 2013, completely irrelevant, which was 𝗕𝗂cie 𝗫𝘕 trying to trade for Giannis on draft night.
Oh, wow.
And it had no reason to fit into this episode, but they just subtly put it in the middle. And there is no way that isn't blatant tampering. It didn't fit the episode. They just wanted to show that we wanted you from day one. Please play for Toronto next season.
Similar to how we'll be putting sponsorships in our episodes in the coming future.
Please pay us.
Right in the middle of our episodes. Anyway, let's get on to it. Let's smash this out. We've done pretty long ones in the past, but let's try and smash these out. We're gonna do the first 15 teams alphabetically, and just sort of preview them, give a quick prediction, and what's going to happen for them in the 2020-2021 season. Let's start off with the Atlanta Hawks. So they've brought in Bogdan Bogdanović, Chris Dunn, Gallinari, Solomon Hill, and drafted Onyeka Okongwu, and they got Rajon Rondo, of course. And
oh boy.
DeAndre Bembry is gone.
Hang on, you forgot Tony Snell.
Oh, Tony Snell.
The 28 minutes, 0 stats type of guy.
DeAndre Bembry, Dwayne Dedman's gone, and no one else to speak of, really. Jeff Teague's gone to the Celtics, whatever.
They had a good offseason.
They did have a good offseason. My prediction for them is that they will finish. So they finished, where did they finish last season? They finished last season second last, 14th in the East. Pretty poor, and I'm excited on this team. I'm going to say that this team finishes ninth.
They're going to be up there. I think everyone can predict that jump. It's just how far does that jump go?
Yep.
Trae Young was incredible. And I think he's always going to be slightly underrated because everyone's going to compare him to 𝗵𝗏. But Trae Young's a really good basketballer. But they've done well to cover his defensive weaknesses because Chris Dunn is an incredible defender for a guard. Rondo can hold his own. So that sort of not solves that issue, but at least it can let Trae take the weaker guard on the other, the opposing team. But John Collins is improving. He could be a 20 and 10 guy going forward. I really like his game.
Yeah, I like him.
DeAndre Hunter, he's shown flashes, looks to be a good player. Kevin Huerter, I liked, sort of didn't really improve all that much this year, but he's got a nice jump shot, good at slashing. But my little hot take, and this is flaming hot, Cam Reddish is going to be the best player from the Duke Big Three in Zion, Barrett, and Reddish. And that's my hot take.
Whoa, that is flaming hot.
Yeah, which Reddish was having the worst rookie season of all time last year, but I liked how he finished the year. And I'm calling it now. And I'm 99% sure I'm going to lose this. But that's what I'm seeing.
Wow.
Cam Reddish will be the best of those three players.
Wow, wow, wow. I can't wait to constantly Bronx cheer you.
Save this clip.
That's it.
I think Zion's obviously the most talented, but I'm unfortunately betting on an injury that I don't want to do that, but I look at him playing, I think there's no way he can survive an NBA career with this.
I would just put it more, my shock is more down to the slow start to Reddish's career. And I know it was only his rookie season. But
he finished strong though. And RJ Barrett has given me nothing to be
that's true.
About.
That's
so it's pretty much here. The way I'm seeing it is who's going to be better, RJ or Reddish? And I'm taking Reddish. And then it's who's going to be around longer. And I just don't. I hate that I don't see Zion sitting on or playing on the court that much. But just the way he's moving, unless we see like a drastic change to his physical appearance, I don't know. I worry about him.
I'll note that down and make sure to come back. For all our new viewers and listeners, just to clarify, a Bronx cheer is a sarcastic cheer from a sports crowd. For all our return listeners, I'm sorry that I always have to repeat that, but I know a lot of people think...
It's getting repetitive.
I know a lot of people think we're from New York because of the Bronx, but we're not. It's just a saying. So that Bronx cheer will be coming your way, I'm sure of it, for that take.
I'll get plenty of them.
Let's go on to your team, the Boston Celtics.
Championship.
So
there's no way you can see it otherwise. Championship.
You guys are... God, let me just say this, and you may kill me for this, but if you guys didn't have fucking Brad Stevens, you guys looking at your damn team, you have a shit team. You have a shit damn
fantastic team.
Jaylen Brown is good. Marcus Smart is good. Jason Tatum is good. I know you like 𝗫cie, but I'm sorry I can't put him in this like urgent category I'm talking about. Kemba Walker, non-injured, is good, which I'm concerned about currently for you guys.
We'll see what happens with him.
And what the fuck did you bring in? Tristan Thompson.
Yeah, he's perfect for us. We don't play anything. We don't give the ball to our bigs. We just need someone that can defend the ring and rebound.
Oh, my God.
And Thompson fills that void. He's not going to be a 20 and 10 guy. But between him, 𝗫cie, and Rob Williams splitting the minutes at center position, we've got a little bit of versatility there, which we haven't had. We saw in every playoff game, 𝗫cie had 4 fouls in the first half. And he's limited what you could do offensively and defensively. But now we've just got another body we can put there without playing fucking 𝗕𝗔𝗍𝗄𝗓 at center. So, yeah, he's not going to be the player that changes games, but it just adds a depth that will stop 𝗫cie fouling out so quickly. And that's all that signing is for, I think.
I've always said it. Brad Stevens is the Celtics' best player. You guys lost Gordon Hayward. Enes Kanter goes home to Portland. Vincent how do you say it?
Poirier. He did nothing. He was a French big man that provided absolutely nothing. I reckon he probably suited up in... I reckon he didn't play in a single close game. That's how I'm going to put it.
He is actually now ended up on the Sixers via some multiple crazy trades. It's a weird sort of way how he ended up on the Sixers. I'm going to be honest. I'm not too excited when I look at this team, but who is going to doubt Brad Stevens? Brad Stevens may win Coach of the Year, or he should be bloody nominated every year, because you know what's going to happen. You guys are going to finish in the top 3 again.
As per. Always somehow manage to do it.
I'm looking at this team. I'm like, you know what? They're going to finish in the top 3 with all these shit dogs. Sorry, but I'm not sorry. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Celtics are going to finish top 3 in terms of playoffs. The Celtics are not making the conference finals. Philly and whoever else is getting in there this season. That's a spoiler for my Philly take.
Oh boy. You're going to be disappointed once again. I thought you would have learned by now to just cool the Jets a little bit.
Anyway, so that's the Celtics for both of us. Championship for you, Celtics, or what's the take? Did I even get your Hawks prediction?
No, I didn't give one.
Good to give me
Hawks
one.
Hawks will be the 8th seed.
Okay.
But I'm not keeping track of any of these, so I might say that Orlando's going to be the 8th seed later on down the track.
You think that the Hawks are going to be the 8th seed over the Magic, Hornets, and Westbrook Wizards?
Yes.
That's fine. I'm just making sure.
Somehow.
It's going to be.
I should have written out what I expect, so I'm probably going to chop and change through the rest of this episode. But Hawks are gunning for the playoffs, and I think they're a chance.
For all of our audience, I did actually just spring this whole episode on Jack, so you can blame.
And I love having notes, and they've left me empty-handed here, so
you can blame me. All right, let's get on to what.
Hey, I didn't give my Celtics prediction.
Oh, I didn't really want. No, go on.
16-0 in the playoffs. First 72-0 in the regular season, and then 16-0 in the playoffs. Average winning margin of 32 points per game. Jason Tatum's going to average 50 for the season, 55 for the playoffs, 60 for the finals. And Jaylen Brown's going to be the MVP somehow.
Well, 𝗕𝗵𝗄𝗓𝗄, Jason Tatum, Taco Fall, and I don't know if there's another one, but all those players train in the summer under our good friend Drew Hanlon. If you haven't yet seen it, go check out last week's episode because we had Drew Hanlon, top NBA skills coach, on our show. What a show that was, JL.
It was beautiful. It was great to talk to the great man.
Yeah, talk to us about Taco and tiny bit about Tatum, bit about Kobe, and of course Embiid, his main player. and it was a good one. So check that out. Now let's move on to the Brooklyn Nets. Many would say they've got to be a championship favorite. One of the. So they brought in no one, essentially. I mean, KD's in and Kyrie, they're in.
They brought in Kayrie and KyDie. Jeez, what did I... Kayrie and KyDie.
Kyrie and KyDie.
That's I'm gonna keep using that.
Kyrie and KyDie. Every time they talk, every time Kyrie is sitting in with some paintings around him on the floor.
The old Kayrie.
What are they? Who's who? Is he Kyrie?
Yeah, he's Kayrie.
And KyDie.
KyDie.
Okay. So Kayrie and KyDie are in. They also brought in old mate Jeff Green, who's a good guy. They brought in Landry Shamet, which is nice, and Bruce Brown, a defensive point guard. They lost no one, essentially. For me, simple stuff. Nets, they're top 4 championship favorites. Yes, these guys might be toxic and have their selfish flaws. However, in the playoffs, minutes tighten up. They've got the likes of Joe Harris, Kyrie Irving. Kayrie, KyDie.
That's better.
Jarrett Allen. I always stumble on that name. Jarrett Allen coming off the bench. DeAndre Jordan starting. Karis LeVert.
That's a joke.
Yeah, it is.
Jordan starting.
Taurean Prince, just to add to their sort of...
They got a bit of depth there.
Shooting. Spencer Dinwiddie.
Their season depends on KD's Achilles.
That's right.
And he's been lucky in a sense that for a regular season, if there wasn't Corona, he would have been back in action a while ago. So he's had extra time to do rehab. And I think in terms of, they always say that the Achilles is the worst injury a sportsman can get. But in terms of someone recovering from it, he's got a good frame to do so because he's not carrying weight.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it close to 100% return, but there aren't many players that have done that. I think Dominic Wilkins returned from it as good as he was, and that's probably it.
Yeah.
So it depends on how KD returns. And if he's playing if he's going 27, 5-5, 27, 8-5 probably, then yeah, you're right. Top 4 championship favorite. If he's anything less than his former self, I don't really see them going anywhere. We're talking like 6th seed and not making a splash in the playoffs.
If it's only Kyrie, then it is understandable that they're still.
He'll probably get injured anyway.
This is the thing with them. They've got depth. As I've just mentioned, they've got players coming off the bench. They've got players starting on the court. While they might not be their level, they've got good player depth. And that's why 6th, I would even argue maybe 5th, if KD's out. But overall, they should be great if KD's great and all good. And if he's out, then they'll still make the playoffs, you'd think. And
yeah.
We'll see if Kyrie has a crack without him. On to the Charlotte Hornets. The LaMelo Ball, LeVar Ball playing against Michael Jordan. All our casuals love this team. The Charlotte Hornets. They brought in, of course, LaMelo and Gordon Hayward, and they lost nothing.
You're telling me Nicholas Batum's not something?
They lost Nicholas Batum and they lost Dwayne Bacon, who I always just love that his last name's Bacon. And also tell everyone on the podcast right now that you don't love Bacon. Everyone needs to be like on my side, not Dwayne Bacon. Food Bacon.
Is this because everyone that you speak to about the podcast says, yeah, I actually agree with JL's takes? And now you're trying to divide and conquer the fan base.
JL, don't change the subject. Tell everyone your thoughts on bacon. The food.
Eating any pig tastes like shit. This is something I say to people, I don't eat pig, and they're like, oh, is this religious reasons or is this ethical reasons? And I'm like, no, I just think it tastes like shit. So there's my hot take.
That's worse than when we had this conversation whenever it was last time.
I just don't like it. It's just not for me. So I'll bacon and eggs. You can take me bacon and I'll have double eggs. It's a win-win.
So you heard it here first to all our fans. JL doesn't like bacon. So I'm obviously the guy. He can't be trusted. He goes to the Celtics. Okay, moving on. Dwayne Bacon is gone from the Hornets. Of course, he went to the Magic. They're just like sister clubs. And they brought in LaMelo Ball and Gordon Hayward. Quickly, I'll just say that the Hornets are finishing 10th. No, 11th. They're finishing 11th.
Yeah, I'll put them in the 10th, 11th range.
Yep.
Hayward's a good acquisition. I think when he gets the keys to the offense, that's when he's at his best. And he didn't get that opportunity in Boston. Now he's going to be running the offense for the most part because you've got who's their backcourt? Rozier and Devontae Graham.
Devontae Graham, yeah.
Graham can pass the ball, actually. He's a better passer than he gets credit for. Rozier will over-dribble and take a contested long too. And obviously we'll see what happens with LaMelo because by all accounts, he's going to be the perfect floor general for this team. But I think Hayward's going to be doing his own thing and he's going to be looking like Utah Hayward. But the rest of this team, Graham's impressive, but you don't have much to be too excited about. I do like PJ Washington coming through. Miles Bridges has shown flashes, but I don't think they're franchise-changing players.
No. So, of course, nothing exciting for the Hornets other than, I guess...
Stock standard. They've got nice jerseys.
Yeah, they got...
That's all you get. Yeah, that's good. Their marketing will be good. Their merchandise sales will be up.
Yeah, with LaMelo.
That's about all.
So let's smash through the next couple. The Chicago Bulls, they brought in no one. And they lost Chris Dunn, I guess, defensive. The main change here is that Jim Boylan is gone, who a lot of the young players didn't get along with. So hopefully Kobe White gets to start at point guard and gets to grow. Hopefully Zach LaVine and Laurie Laurie Markkinen can continue their growth. It seems like they had mainly Lowry had an off season of no growing last season.
Yeah.
And hopefully those
He'll be right,
those three players and Wendell Carter Jr. also can continue their growth into being good players. They also got Devin Dotson, who was drafted, I believe. So, and Patrick Williams is their other. So hopefully
Patrick Williams looked good in his first preseason game yesterday.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do this, Nate, but he reminded me of Kawhi.
Oh, wow.
The way he moved, he was just settling for mid-range jumpers, but not driving, and that was all he could get. He was getting the ball on the three-point line, pump faking, and taking, that quick first step and getting to an open mid-range, and it was a smooth release. So keep an eye on him. What was he, fourth pick?
I cannot remember.
Something
around that.
You'll enjoy watching him, I think.
Oh, well, there you go. And I think Kawhi reminds me of MJ, as in terms of just the way it looks. And so if Patrick Williams is similar to him, then maybe we're going to see a sort of MJ-looking guy.
Here we go.
On the
Did you mention Kobe White?
Yeah, I did.
Did you? No, good. I didn't hear his name drop, but I like him.
Yeah. He didn't... Jim Boylan, I believe, didn't start him, he didn't get to start last season, so I'm sure he will now. And he'll get the opportunity to grow under Billy Donovan. So I would say that the Bulls, unfortunately, are going to, again, just because of their age and they're still got to grow, somewhere in the bottom feeders of the East from, I don't know, what are these numbers? 12th to 15th. Let's be nice and say 12th.
Yeah, I'm expecting Levine to take a jump. I think statistically it might be the same, but hopefully it sort of equates to winning basketball a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go around 12-ish as well. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do take a jump. But I'll stay with 12, but keep an eye on them.
The Cleveland Cavaliers,
15th.
Like always, let's just take 2 seconds for this. They traded out Tristan Thompson to your Celtics, and they also sent Jordan Bell and Alfonso McKinney to the Lakers for 𝗲𝗡 McGee. So they lost Thompson, they brought in 𝗲𝗡 McGee. They've also got Kevin Love and Andre Drummond. 12th to 15th. Let's just go bloody 14th. 14th or 15th.
Surely 15th. But they do have Isaac Okoro. Now, I know I keep saying how shit preseason is, and I just mentioned it before. But Okoro was a top 5 pick, I'm pretty sure. And I think he had 16 points in the last quarter and hit the game winner.
Hit the game winner, yep. And
the last rookie that did that in terms of 16 points in a quarter was playing for Cleveland. And they've had a lot of number 1 picks over the years, but this guy was a number 1 pick, was in Cleveland, dominated the last quarter of a preseason game. And his name was Anthony Bennett.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I don't know where you're going with this.
So we'll see what happens with Okoro, but preseason means nothing.
Moving on, the Dallas Mavericks. Now, this is where it gets exciting.
MVP of the league, sitting in their roster. Youngest MVP of all time.
I was going to do award previews, and I don't think I will. So I think I might say that Luka might be the MVP as well. For this season. But yes, they've lost JJ Barea, Seth Curry to the Sixers, and DeLon Wright, I guess, who was nice for them. They're pretty
much running it back.
They brought in Josh Green in the draft, so it'll be nice to watch a fellow Aussie. And they also brought in Josh Richardson from the Sixers and Tyrell Terry, who apparently is so similar to Seth Curry. I kind of wanted Boston to pick him up, so I have to say that he's good now. Yeah, as a draft prospect, I would say that the Dallas Mavericks, with essentially the addition of Josh Richardson and the loss of Seth Curry, they finished. What is that? I don't have the numbers next to my standings here.
They were 7th last year.
They finished 7th under the Jazz and the Thunder. You can't.
But they were 2.5 games back from 4th.
Yes, I'd say that they're going to finish fourth.
I'm thinking if they finish top 3, Luka's getting the MVP. But I don't see them edging out the 2 LA teams and Denver.
No.
So look, I'll go 4th as well. But even at 4th, I still think he's my pick for the MVP. I think Giannis won't get it just from voter fatigue. LeBron and AD will sort of cancel each other out in terms of sharing. Harden won't be up there like he has been, unless there's a big leap from Embiid or Tatum or something like that it's shown a bit of something. I think this is Luka's award to win, and he's got one. This is his last year to be the youngest MVP ever, taking it from D-Rose. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Very interesting, but yeah, they should have a great season. They're going to have a great bloody 10 years if they hold on to Luka. Moving on to the Denver Nuggets, who did finish 3rd this season. They brought in JaMychal Green, also drafted RJ Hampton, and that's about it. They lost Tyler Craig and Mason Plumlee and Noah
Torrey Craig.
Oh, sorry. What did I say?
Tyler.
Sorry. Tyler Cook was next to it. So they didn't really.
They're running it back.
Yeah, that's right. You'd have to say again, they've been finishing in the top 3 for, is it now 3 seasons? Yeah. I'd say that if not 3rd, 4th. But I'd say 3rd.
Yeah, I'm saying 3rd as well. I think I don't think that Jamal Murray is going to have the season that he's not going to continue from the playoffs. I think he'll cool down a bit. It's only natural. He'll go back to being, 22, 4 and 5 or, whatever he was at. But I don't think that's going to hurt the team because I think Porter Jr. is a stud. I think he's going to be a really good basketball player, but he just needs to, defensively, he's got a lot of work to improve on and he just needs to work on swinging the ball a bit more. But they've got other guys like Gary Harris started his career really well, and we've talked about him before, and it sort of trickled away just with injuries. But if he can become, a bit more prominent, Bol takes the leap. Paul Millsap's going to be Paul Millsap. Monte Morris is good. I reckon they might not jump up the standings anymore, but I think they're going to be more of a threat this year, which is crazy saying that for someone that just made the conference finals. But I think this year teams are going to be taking them seriously as a threat. And it's not going to be an afterthought anymore.
Well, like I said, when we talked about the assessments not too long ago, I think MPJ is the key to that. I like Jokic and I like Murray, but I personally think that they need something else as well to do what you're saying to try. So they made the conference finals. I don't know if you would call it like they were meant to be there, but for them to sort of cement their place in the Western Conference Finals, which means that one of the LA teams has to miss out, I would say they need something else, or they need the Clippers to have another shit one, another joke.
Or MVP Jokic. Which I know you're not that high on him, but I think he's the only player in the league that could win it without the stats to back him up.
Yeah.
Everyone can clearly see that he's the guy that boosts everyone else. So he might only average, 20, 10, and 6 assists. And Murray might have the stats, but if they're a top 2 seed,
yeah,
Jokic is going to get a lot of attention, I think.
Another MVP candidate is on our next team that we have to look into. Oh, sorry. No, sorry.
I was going to say, I bloody hope not.
The next thing we have to look into is the Detroit. Wow, it is early in the morning. Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons.
Jahlil Okafor, MVP candidate.
And let me actually mention, they sort of could have an MVP candidate on here. If the Pistons somehow ended up in the top 4 of the East, somehow, you'd have to say that either D Rose or Blake, mainly Blake. Hold on. One of those two.
There is no way D Rose is playing MVP basketball. No way. Blake, I can see. He came third in 2015.
Well,
He's one of the best big man passers, but there's no way D Rose is up there. And there's no way Blake's going to be up there because the Pistons are fucking shit.
yeah.
Don't make me go on another rant here. The Pistons are going to be 13th to 15th.
Yeah, I shouldn't have even started. We don't have enough time for this to go on. But they brought in, they brought in everyone. They brought in, well, when I say everyone, they brought in no one. The best player they brought in is probably Jeremy Grant, and they drafted Killian Hayes.
I like Hayes. Kevin O'Connor's man.
Yeah, and that's it. That's all they brought in. They brought in Mason Plumlee, but that's it. And they lost John Henson.
Tony Snell.
Thon Maker.
Kyrie Thomas. We are forgetting Christian Wood, though, and I do like him.
Yes, Christian Wood is gone.
I love how this happens, though, in the NBA where there's a bloke that gets no attention, and then all of a sudden he strings a few games like Christian Wood did. And all of a sudden, like, yeah, he's showing glimpses, but every single person right now is saying Christian Wood's going to be most improved player. Houston got such a good deal, and Christian Wood is going to... And it's like, where did this hype come from? You didn't care about him when he was at Detroit. And now that he's at a big market and potentially playing playoff basketball, everyone's saying, oh, I saw this years ago. He's fantastic. It's like, no, you didn't. You only found out about him when he signed somewhere else.
Good old small market teams. Anyway, let's keep going. The Golden State Warriors. They have a potential MVP candidate in the name of Stephen Curry because Klay Thompson will be out the whole season again. Steph, hopefully he's not doubled, which I have a feeling he will cop it a decent amount. Steph could go off again and average 30 points a game because that's what it's going to take this team to the playoffs. His supermax means that they've got in my point of view, absolutely no one. They've got Kelly Oubre and they drafted.
I hate the supermax so much.
Yeah, they've got James Wiseman and Kent Bazemore, Andrew Wiggins as well, who I nearly forgot.
Wiggy.
And they lost
Brad Wanamaker.
They got Brad Wanamaker. He's
gonna average a nice 6 points a game, maybe less.
He's from Philly. That's what I'll give to him. But anyway, where are the Warriors finishing?
8th.
When
in that bracket.
When I look at it, sorry, they've also got Draymond Green. When I look at it, I can't put them there. I can't put them above these teams that I'm looking at. I can't put them.
They'll find a way. They'll maximize everything out of Wiggins. Steph will have a good year. Draymond will play that annoying role that we hate. I just think, especially with Steve Kerr running the show, playing such unselfish basketball, I don't know. I just feel like they're going to win some games. And Kelly Oubre is a great acquisition. Wiseman's a good acquisition. They've got some pieces there that's going to win them some games here and there.
They are going to win some games, but are they going to finish above the Robert Covington Blazers? And are they going to finish above the CP3 Suns and the, I guess, I don't know.
The West is stacked, isn't it? The Pelicans were close.
I can't.
Grizzlies will be up there.
Yeah.
You're right. The West is just so tough. And I think if you're calling anyone from the 6th seed down, what separate the 6th seed and like the 13th seed? It was next to nothing. It was the 8th seed and the 13th seed. There's nothing in it. And
yeah, that's right.
I don't think Utah is much better than those teams. So I don't know. It's going to be a bloodbath in the West.
Quick question, very quick.
Yeah.
Who's better this season? Because I'm just looking at it now. Who's better, the Wolves or the Warriors? Because that is another tell to how hard it's going to be in the West.
Yeah. You'd have to go... On paper, it's the Wolves.
Mm.
The Timberwolves look so much better on paper, but it's the Timberwolves. How many winning seasons have they ever had? 4? When KG was there?
Yeah.
I don't know. You've I've learned to bet against the Timberwolves because it always works. So I'm going to go Golden State for that one.
Yeah, that's a tough decision. I'm just making sure. Yeah. All right. So we're going to get through a couple more and then we'll finish up. So the Houston Rockets.
It's a tough one. There's a lot of question marks over these teams.
You've got an angry dog barking.
Yeah, but I didn't think you'd be able to pick that up. Yeah, my neighbour's dog's just a beautiful black German Shepherd.
Oh,
but it gets a bit needy when Dad leaves the house. So,
well, that's what you want. You want a dog that misses you. But anyway, so the Houston Rockets. It's so hard to pick because you don't understand what's going to happen with. They've got a new team essentially again, and also you don't know
a lot of health question marks.
Yeah, health, and also what's going to happen with Harden's sort of what's going to happen with him and his mentality. Oh, let me just play it safe.
Like, Boogie looked good in preseason. John Walls looked good. I doubt that Boogie's actually going to be effective on the court because we've seen Boogie lately.
Yeah.
But if they're back to their former selves, which they won't be, but if they're 70, 80% with Harden,
yeah,
that's a good team.
Let's not forget that the Houston Rockets have brought in Christian Wood and also, of course, Boogie. They're going in not a tiny, but a bit of a different direction to the whole micro ball.
Yeah.
And so it's just going to be...
No one knows.
No one knows. No one knows what's happening in Houston.
Harden doesn't know. He hasn't been in Houston.
Has he passed his 6 days, consecutive days yet?
I don't think so. I think it's probably like day 3, day 4. He's got a while to go.
Crazy. Anyway, so I'll just play it safe and put them as... You'd have to think they'd still make it. So
you'd assume so.
Let me put them as 7th.
I'm going to go the same.
7th for the Rockets.
Sneaking into the playoffs. I can't really see like them maximizing their potential with a healthy Wall and a healthy Cousins. But I'm going to, put them in that 7th bracket because there is a chance that it all sort of turns. And I think we've seen it before. James Harden can lead a shit team to the playoffs. Playing that slow ISO ball wins games, unfortunately, when he's that good.
Yeah.
It might not win championships, but you're not going to drop a game against San Antonio out of luck. They're going to win the games they're supposed to win and lose a few close ones to good teams, but overall, they're still going to be a decent team.
The Indiana Pacers. Let's do a couple more and then we'll finish up. The Indiana Pacers, they brought in no one and they lost no one. Essentially, let's just go straight to... So last season, they finished 4th, which is pretty nice for them. New coach, who I don't know his name.
No, neither do I. Indiana Pacers coach. Oh, Nate Bjorkgren. I don't know how to say his name.
So they moved from one Nate to the next one.
Yeah.
So they finished 4th above the Heat and the Sixers and the Nets. You'd say that all those teams are going to
jump them.
Are going to continue their momentum, or Sixers move, the offseason moves momentum, Heat finals and Nets healthy.
KyDie and Kayrie.
Kayrie and KyDie.
My boys.
I hate to say it, but I think the Pacers, and we'll talk about next week, I think the Raptors as well may see some sliding down this playoffs picture in the East. However,
agreed.
Let me put them in 7th.
I'm going to say, 7th as well.
They should not have got... I know the Heat made the finals, but it was pretty not nice that the Pacers got swept by the Heat in the first round. I thought they were better than that.
As the higher seed. Yeah, it was... they had a strange year, though, with like Oladipo coming in and out sort of thing. Miles Turner hasn't really shown much. Sabonis I like him, but like they just... I don't know. They don't have much to offer at the moment.
That's it. And let's do one more here, and we'll cut it off there. The Los Angeles Clippers.
8th seed.
They brought in Nicholas Batum and 𝗕𝗔𝗍𝗍 𝗂𝗏, also Luke Kennard, I guess, and they lost Montrez to their cross the hall rivals, JaMychal Green, who was pretty nice to them actually, and Landry Shamet, I guess. I think it's just going to be more of the same next season, and I'm
definitely
suspecting
a lot of finger pointing, a lot of complaints.
But I'm suspecting some redemption from hopefully at least Kawhi, if not PG. I know PG is already talking it up, but I'm hoping there's some. I might even say the 1 seed.
Yeah,
the NBA's brought in that, which we didn't mention. The team gets fined $100,000 if you rest when you don't have an injury or some shit.
Yeah, but I think Kawhi's count. If it's degenerative, does that count as an injury? I think it would.
I don't know, but in general, just the feel of this season for me, I just feel like the Clippers and Kawhi and PG, they're still going to do their little things, but the bigger picture, surely they all come into it, and surely Steve Ballmer is trying to say something as well and saying, this season, a bit more effort, and let's pick up momentum heading into these damn playoffs, because that's what they did not have.
But what I think before is, or what I've said before, sorry, is Kawhi runs his organization and they are doing everything that they're at his beck and call. And if he doesn't want to play back-to-backs, which he doesn't, in a condensed season, the league's not going to find them if he's got a degenerative quad knee, whatever it is that he's made up because Uncle Dennis said so. I don't know. I don't think he's going to play all that much. PG is going to carry a lot of the weight. They're still going to be a top 3 seed, I'm assuming, depending on, their health. But I don't think they're going to be like, we want to come into the playoffs all cylinders firing. I think they will be the same as they were last year, where it's, let's get to the playoffs and we'll do our work there. And they're going to take the mentality of, we had weaknesses and we've gotten rid of some of them. We're not going to collapse like we did. Hopefully they still will, but I think they're going to run it back as they did.
And we did note last pod that 𝗕𝗔𝗍𝗍 𝗂𝗏, in terms of playoff basketball, is a better player than Montrezl Harrell.
Definitely.
So
you can keep him on the court. So
I mean, this team is the second best team in the West and maybe in the NBA. They should be making the damn conference finals.
It's the Clippers' curse.
But preference and your attitude towards them, yours or mine aside, you hate them, I love them. Surely their goal should be the championship, really. And surely, at least, if not 1, surely top 2.
I'm putting them in second. I think we'll talk about it next week, but there's a certain somebody I've learned not to bet against. And I think he'll carry a certain team to the number 1 seed once again. And
his name rhymes with Habon. No, that was so bad. Okay.
It's pretty stock standard from you.
That wraps up this week's show. We'll continue with part 2 next week, and we'll start off with the Los Angeles Lakers, and we'll talk about what we think they're going to be doing this season. Thank you for listening to this episode of the 𝗵𝗄𝗅 Basketball Show, and to all our new viewers and subscribers on YouTube, please come back. I don't know.
We need you.
I don't know where I was going with that, but thank you for subscribing. Also, if you just want to go audio, check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you are on Apple Podcasts, don't forget to leave a review or a 5-star rating, and press follow and subscribe, whatever
that jazz.
Wherever you're consuming it from. Also, check us out on social media, the 𝗵𝗄𝗅 Basketball, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also, JL, TikTok.
Oh, no.
We're on TikTok.
Oh my God.
I only uploaded 1 snippet of the Drew Hanlon pod last week. I found it hard to continue to upload because
I'm on TikTok.
You are?
I'm famous.
Oh,
if you're putting me on there.
Yeah, you're on TikTok. Yeah.
I'm famous.
No, like the TikTok, trust me, the TikTokers didn't like grab to our video that much
Oh man.
because it's too like it's not poppy enough. It's a snippet of our interview. But anyway, if you're on there, go follow us. And that's it, JL. I
Beautiful.
guess I'll talk to you next week, and
I cannot wait.
I guess I will have spoken to. We'll speak about the Sixers and Celtics preseason game.
As per with these two teams, it's going to be going one way, and it's always green.
All right, I'll talk to you next week.
Catch you, mate.